Today is Black Friday, November the 20th. I had to look at the calendar. 7th. I was about to say November the 28th. And I am your host, KC Phoenix, and this is my daily thought. The strange thing is that I'm recording this in the morning. Usually I record all of this in the evening, but since I have the day to myself, I'm recording this in the morning. And I'm actually recording it before I record for my other channel, my other podcast. And I usually record my first podcast in the morning, then I record this podcast in the evening, is what I do. But anyways, let me get to the daily thought. It's Black Friday. I'm sure some people are out right now or have already been out because it's like 10:18 a.m. while I'm recording this, Pacific Standard Time. That people probably went out because I think Best Buy opened at 5 this morning, and I think some other stores opened at 5 this morning. And apparently they're letting people in. So, whatever works. I say to each his own. And I'm rooting for everyone on Black Friday. If there's something that you want, go for it. I'm doing this daily thought, and for those who may be new to this podcast, I'm very direct, as you can tell, and I call things for what they are. And everything is my opinion. That's all I can give. So, one thing that's been going on with these game systems, the PlayStation 5, PS5, and the Xbox Series X and S, is that scalpers and bots have been snatching up these systems. And by the way, I'm actually pleasantly surprised with Sony. Sony has done really, really well. But also I was right when I said Xbox was going to blow it out the water. Microsoft was their presentation sucked. But as for the sales, you can't get an Xbox anywhere. Every time they come available, they're sold out. So I called it. And I still think the Xbox will be more successful than the PS5 over time. The initial, I think Sony said they moved over 2 million units so far with the PS5. I don't know how many units the Xbox has moved. But the thing is that over time, I honestly believe the Xbox will end up selling more. The thing about the Xbox is, and to go off on the side right quick, is that the Xbox doesn't have a lot of exclusives, is one of the negatives, even though the Xbox Series X is a more powerful console. That's a fact. And even one guy was talking about it, that with the Xbox Series X, everything with that console was designed to enhance gaming performance. Every bit of technology within the console. And then he also went to say that with PlayStation, the joystick, remote control, whatever you want to call it these days, is better than the Xbox, and it enhances the gaming performance. In addition to that, also PlayStation has more exclusives because obviously they have God of War. That's one of the biggest reasons why I will get a PlayStation 5 is for God of War. But with Xbox, it from a technological standpoint, it is the better system when it comes to load times and things like that. And a lot of people have been saying that. They just don't have any exclusives. But over time, I believe the Xbox will outsell the PS5. That's just my guess, my theory on that. But regardless, all of them are sold out. All of them stay sold out because people are buying them, trying to get them for Christmas. And then also bots and scalpers are getting them. There have been reports that some scalpers have been robbed, that one was robbed because they posted something on their Twitter feed and somebody had found them and then robbed them of the PS5s and stuff. And a lot of people have been complaining and fussing in regards to Walmart and Best Buy and some of these other platforms and GameStop, saying that why aren't you doing more to stop the bots from getting these consoles? All right. All I can say, I had to take a breath. I had to take a breath because what I'm about to say is gonna, I know it's gonna ruffle some feathers, but it's all good. Look, one thing that I was told by someone that I used to work with, they were a silent business partner and they were Italian. And there was some saying, it was in regards to some contracts. And it's a saying that's been said so many times. And he said, business is business. And I know that people don't like to hear that because that's almost the equivalent of it is what it is. Because the saying business is business and it is what it is, those sayings don't care about your feelings. But when it comes to business, it's a double-edged sword because you can cut it either way. One way you can cut it is you want to build loyalty with your customer base. So you want to make it easier for actual individuals to be able to acquire these products. On the other side, you can cut it like Walmart. Walmart is a publicly traded company. Walmart only cares about their bottom line. That's all they care about. So whether an individual buys a PS5 or Xbox Series X, or whether a scalper with a bot buys a PS5 or Xbox Series X, Walmart just wants the sale. That's all they have. Because when the quarterly numbers come out and they have to report to their shareholders what was made, then it's not going to make sense to the shareholders when the money isn't there. So for Walmart and some of these other outlets that have, and especially GameStop has been dealing with a lot of financial trouble if you follow financial news. For companies like that, they need to move all the inventory they can, and they don't care who buys it. I honestly believe that even if it was money from nefarious sources that bought these PS5s and Xboxes from Walmart and GameStop, they'd be like, that's not our problem. We're not investigating all that. We'll leave that to DOJ. We're not looking into all that. All we want is for the product to move off the shelf. That's all we want. So when we go to our shareholders or when we go to our board meeting, we can say we moved 5,000 PS5s last week. We moved 10,000 PS5s last week. We moved 25,000 PS5s last week. That's all they're going to care about. They're not going to care about, well, the 25,000 PS5s we moved last week, they were more than likely bought by scalpers and bots. And some of the people who shop at Walmart, they're a little bit upset because they can't get them to their kids because they were unable to get past the scalpers and the bots. But we moved 25,000 PS5s. They're not looking at that. Everything when it comes to capitalism, and that's what this is, it's capitalism. Plain and simple. Capitalism is supply and demand. That's what it is. And for Sony, I mean, people can fuss at Sony, but due to current constraints to what's going on in the world, it's affected their supply chain. That's why it amazes me. You know what? I'm not even going to go there because then it'll turn a little bit political, and we don't do politics on this channel. I'll just say that people don't always see the bigger picture when things stop. Just like Elon Musk said, if no one is making stuff, there is no stuff. This PS5 supply chain issue is an example of that. If no one is making PS5s, there are no PS5s. So Sony has an issue of supplying everyone because the demand is there. So the little bit of supply that is able to get out, and the scalpers happen to get, I'll just say, a third of the supply, and everyone else gets 2/3, but there's still a third of the supply that the scalpers are sitting on, and the demand is still there. The scalpers can still charge the prices they charge. It's capitalism. Does it suck? Yeah, it sucks. But as I always tell people, life isn't sunshine and rainbows. Life isn't fair. Life will not always be fair. The good guys don't always win. The bad guys don't always lose. However, it's capitalism. It's supply and demand. So then what it goes to is what I call a battle of the wills. How strong is your will? For me, I'm not paying $1,000 for a PS5. I could, if I wanted to. I mean, that's whatever. But why would I pay $1,000? First of all, this is my logic. If I go on one of these sites, one site is StockX, I think. They're charging $1,000 for a PS5. The retail value on that PS5 is $500. If I ship that, if I have that shipped to me, if something happens, because that's the other thing too that's been going on for some of you who may not have heard, there are reports that Amazon drivers are allegedly stealing PS5s that are set to be delivered to people. There are reports that PS5s are being stolen from other couriers or carriers. If something happens to that, you paid $1,000 for it. The retail value on it is $500. More than likely, I haven't seen the fine print, but I'm just going from a business point of view. More than likely, whoever the insurer is, even if you insure the product for $1,000, to say you paid that, and I'll give you an example because it just now hit me. See, recall. When back a long time ago when I worked for UPS, many eons ago, people would try to get a claim on a check. Where if you ship a check, let's say you're sent a $10,000 check and you send it through UPS. And then people would try to claim the amount of the check. And UPS is like, no. The only thing we're going to reimburse you for based off of the insurance on this, we're not going to reimburse you for $10,000 because that isn't what that's worth. The only thing we're reimbursing you for is the paper that it's on. That's it. You need to have your bank reissue the check, or whoever issued you the $10,000 check, they need to reissue you the check. We're not cutting you a $10,000 check because the value of what was being shipped was not $10,000. The value of what was being shipped was the paper itself. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same thing with the PS5. If you have someone ship you a $500 PS5, but you paid $1,000 for it, and it gets stolen or lost in the mail, because we know how the United States Postal Service does. I just had my neighbor's mail delivered to me last week or either this week. I had to put their mail up on their door. So if it gets lost in the mail or something like that, they're more than likely not going to reimburse you, because when it comes to insurance companies, like my attorneys say, their job is not to pay. Their job isn't to pay. Their job is not to pay. So if an insurance company, whoever insures whatever's being shipped, looks at it and says, okay, what's the retail value on this? Retail value is 500. Oh, then that's what we're cutting the check for. But I paid 1,000, but the retail value is 500. We don't have anything to do with you paying $1,000. Retail value is 500. If you paid $1,000, you need to square up with whoever for the other 500 and do that. But the retail value is $500. So for me, I'm not about to pay $1,000 for a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, which for those who know me, Xbox Series X is my first choice for game reasons. Marvel vs. Capcom 2, best fighting game in history. It's not up for discussion. It's just a fact. So it comes down to a battle of the wills. Are you willing to go without a PS5 for however long? You can pursue it on your journey. You can continue to pursue a PS5 or Xbox Series X or S for as the months go on. How long are you willing? Do you have a strong enough willpower? As they say in Naruto, will of fire. Do you have a will of fire to say, you know what? I'm not paying $1,000. If I have to wait until 2022 to get a PS5 and I'll continue my search throughout that process, then so be it. Or are you just going to complain? Because I'm going to tell you something. Complaining doesn't resolve anything. All you're doing is talking about a problem. You're talking about a problem without solutions. So that doesn't fix the issue. So then it is the will of fire. The solution is one, you have to flood the market. Until Sony fixes their, and also Microsoft as well, until they fix their supply chain to where they can just flood the market. It's like inflation. The more money that the Fed pumps out, just like the Fed is printing money right now, and they're more than likely, and not to get political, there's more than likely going to be another stimulus. All of that stuff goes on the balance sheet. That lowers the value of the dollar. The reason it lowers the value of the dollar is because there's more of it. Anytime there's more of something, the less valuable it becomes. And that will be the case with game systems and anything else. If there's only, I'll give you an example with paintings and stuff. Van Gogh, Picasso, I'm just trying to think. I'll just think Renaissance painters, Rembrandt, Titian, Bruegel, Vermeer. All of those paintings, Michelangelo, so on and so forth. One reason they're worth so much, and I mentioned this before in one of my other episodes, is because people can copy them, but those are the originals. That's why they're worth so much. There aren't anything else like them. So if you were to have just 1,000 PS5s that are out in market, yeah, people are going to be clamoring, because if you have 10,000 people that want the PS5 and you only have 1,000 out in market, obviously the demand is there for the supply. So then the people who have the 1,000 PS5s, they see the demand's there. Okay, you want my supply? I'm going to raise the price, even though the retail price is 500. But if you have 100,000 PS5s out in the market and 10,000 people want them, it's 100,000 PS5s and only 10,000 people want them. That's 10 times the amount of the people who want them. At that level, they might have to discount it. They're like, wow, only 10,000 people want this and we have 100,000 of them, we might have to take the price from 500 to 400 to move the product just to get other people who may not have wanted one to take one. It's capitalism. It's supply and demand. That's how it works. Does it suck? Yeah. But it also isn't the end of the world if you don't get the new game system. So for the scalpers and the bots, they're just doing what they do. They're playing the game and they're playing it well and they're flipping the money. But caveat, like I said before, if people are like, you know what? I'm not even going to get it. I'll look for it from time to time. I'll hop on Best Buy's site or Target site or Walmart site or GameStop or GameFly or Ant Online or Newegg or B&H Photo or whoever is carrying it. I'll hop on there from time to time. But if I get it, great. If I don't, it is what it is. If people take that attitude and then these scalpers and these bots see that their inventory is sitting or setting, not sitting, setting for those in English land, anything that cannot sit by itself is set. So for the inventory that's setting, then the scalpers and the people who use the bots, they're going to be like, wow, this inventory is piling up and it's not moving. I can't charge $1,000. I might need to take it down to 800 because these people are refusing to pay $1,000. And the inventory is just here. And as time goes on, when it gets to spring, the inventory is still there. They're like, wow, these people aren't willing to pay $800. I guess I'm just going to have to go ahead and take it down to $700 and see. And then summer comes and the inventory is still there because they have to flip that. That's the other thing to it as well. Sometimes people don't have the necessary capital to go long term. It might be a short term infusion where they take out a loan and then they have to pay on that loan. And depending on what their payments are, that could affect things too. If their inventory isn't moving, money isn't coming in. So I don't know the terms of the loan or whatever, but even for the people who didn't take out loans, for the people who just had the cash to just put it up, they want to see a return on their investment. Usually ROI for investments, a good one is about 10% within 1 year is what it is. I forgot what the stock market performs. I think the stock market, the highest it's ever went is like 12% in a year for the average investor or something like that. You can look it up. That's what the internet's for. But for people who are doing this scalping and with the bots and stuff, it's an investment. It's a business. So they're looking, just like I said, Walmart and all these retailers don't care about who buys it long as it's bought because they have to answer to their shareholders and their board of directors. The people, the scalpers and the bots, they have to answer to themselves if they're self-employed, but also to their bank account to say, okay, I invested all this money. I'm not moving any product. I need to move some product. But the only way there will be pushed to that level is for people to be like, you know what? I'm not paying that price. I'm good. So instead of complaining, just be, I was about to cuss. I try to cut down on my language. I was about to cuss. Okay. Instead of paying that price, just be like, forget them. I was about to say something else that started with an F. That's the attitude you should have. Instead of wham, 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 bots, scalpers, bots, scalpers. Oh my God, they keep on taking all the stuff. That's not going to solve anything. Just forget them. It's a game system. This is a first world problem. Life goes on. So just have a wheel of fire. And eventually you will get one. If it's not in 2020, 2021 perhaps. Hell, the way 2020 has went for some people, they may not want that bad juju on their game system. They may be like, you know what, the way 2020 has went, there's no telling what type of energy is in these PS5s and Xboxes. I'll wait till 2021 and do it that way. So yeah, but for the scalpers and the bots, cut them some slack. They're making a living. It's called capitalism. So, and if you're upset about it, don't buy the product. That's the best way. Boycott them to let them know you're not paying a ridiculous amount of money for a game console. And that's all I have for my daily thought. KIRWKC.com, main podcasting platform. Again, thank you to everyone. And I need to add that. Thank you to everyone who's been listening to the podcast, who got the show on iHeartRadio. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. So we're on the iHeartRadio platform. Now, the link is in the bio or details, whatever. You know what I'm saying. And KIRWKC on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.com/KIRWKC. If you're watching this on YouTube Daily Motion, don't forget to hit the subscribe button followed by the notification bell. That will let you know when I upload new videos. But as I always say, you guys seem to listen to the podcast instead of watching my lovely face on video. And I'm fine with that because I love you regardless. Until next time, be blessed.